All right, Jamie, you ready?
I'm ready. Hey,
Good morning.
good morning.
My name is Daniel Emresis, and with me today is...
Jamie Resnick.
All right. You don't have to do that. I just want you to know that you no longer have to do that whole online persona thing. What we're going to do today is we're going to take over from the last point of what you did in order to show everyone where we are right now. So, take it away.
We changed the board a bit
No.
and
What
reorganized.
is the first thing that you're supposed to do?
Today is May 24th, 2025.
Yeah, going forward, tomorrow, I hope you make a video where you start by doing your job. Your job is to introduce the video, the date, and everything like that, okay?
Video 1451X, Season 5, Episode 1001.
Excellent.
And then we rearranged the board.
Do you know who Ray Bradbury is?
He's an author,
All right. Do you know what his most famous book that he wrote?
Catcher in the Rye.
No.
Fahrenheit 451.
Excellent.
That's
Why did you say Catcher in the Rye?
I don't know. It was my first initial cut.
Okay. Fair enough. So, let's talk about that. What we're going to do right now is we're going to erase the parts that you did that were older. And the reason why this video is important is because right now it's 10:20 in the morning, approximately 10:25. I'm constantly accused of not working because people don't understand what I do.
Okay.
So I will go through the process of exactly what I do. And although I have seen myself fail time and time out again, that is not something that I will blame anyone but myself for, because I've spent 5 years trying to be more of a human being. That is going to be a little bit tweaked tomorrow, which is on 5/25. And I would like everyone to understand why numbers are so important and they do not lie. Now, Jamie, can you do me a favor? Can you please erase the 3 words right here and erase the pink words that are up here?
Okay.
Great job, Jamie. Erase this, yes. Excellent. Now, Jamie, as I've said to the audience and you countless amounts of times, I don't have the ability to communicate with everyone because my intellect is at a different level than everyone else's. So I use movies as references. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay. I have done the best I can to explain to everyone that the art form that I invented was making movies in real life. Oh, add that as a tile when you get a chance.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Over here is the new tile that I added, anti-social media. I, Daniel Emresis, with the creation of this channel, created something called anti-social media.
Yes, you did.
You said it very confidently. Why don't you explain to the audience what that means, anti-social media? And why is it important to anyone? No, it's okay.
Sorry.
See, you get to laugh as much as you want. You get to be yourself.
Thanks.
And I believe that you've earned that right.
Why did you create anti-social media?
No, what is anti-social media?
It's the opposite of social media. It's real human interaction. It's not, it's the truth.
Okay, but anyone that goes against me can just say it's a bunch of lies. It's the truth as I see it.
It's the truth as you see it, but
Right.
what you're saying is the opposite of what you see on social media.
That's true. So what do you see on social media?
Lies. Fake.
No.
The best, the highlight reel.
The highlights, right?
Yes.
So this channel would show only the worst of my life as I grow and succeed in my life and business. And please understand that any human being who has healthy children and healthy people around them that they love is a very lucky human being. So because I understand that concept on a daily basis, I don't need to look for deities or any spiritual awakenings that'll lead me to the same place as where I am here today. That is the whole point of existentialism, is to recognize who you are within and bring that out, not the other way around.
Okay.
Anti-social media, if you give me a chance and ask me what is anti-social media.
What is anti-social media?
Anti-social media is my reaction to a world being completely lost in a digital algorithm. So while the entire world spends their efforts doing everything they can to show the best of what they have, I have taken the time to curate a beautiful symphony of videos that show the real Daniel M. Rhesus and my failures, struggles, and trials and tribulations, because that is not what people want to see. People want to see a series of lies that is fabricated in order to make them feel better or worse about their actual life. What I show you is the reality of the world that all 300 million Americans live in, rather than showing you a false reality. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and write what I need you to write. Whoa!
Careful.
Sorry. Now, this is going to be our title board,
Okay.
okay? So on the title board, write 52525. I did not say to put any dots in there. Please erase that and write it as one singular number. Excellent. Now, what do you notice about, I just want to confirm.
It goes forward or
Palindrome?
back, yeah, forward or backward, it's the same.
Let's see what Wikipedia says palindrome. Palindrome is a word, number, phrase, or other sequence or symbols that reads the same backwards as forwards,
Yeah.
right? So it's really important that it's forward and backwards at the same time. This is the most important date in my entire life, other than the days that my children were born and some other personal dates, but this is the most important date. Why? Let me explain via 3 movies. The first movie is called Ready Player One. Write that. Now, as she does this, I'm going to speak. She is nothing more than misdirection. Ready, that was a joke, by the way. Jamie does a lot. Ready Player One. Now, the next one we're going to film is The Old Man. What was that sound?
Cause I just watched it.
Cool.
Well, it's really
Now,
good.
let's go ahead and write Fahrenheit 451. Just write F451, because it's not as relevant as you might think. Now, on the bottom here, let's go ahead and write 1-800-PAWN 451. Write mathemagical. And then let's take a break. Now, we're not breaking formally for the video, but we're breaking from writing. First and foremost, let me explain to everybody what is going on right here. Ready Player One is probably the most important movie in my generation to be released. And the reason why I say it's in my generation is because it came out somewhere when I was in my 30s, and I believe that it is the most important movie for all parents to watch as to the dangers of what happens when there's an alternate universe that is created within the real universe.
Yeah.
I, Daniel M. Rhesus, have modeled my narrative, which starts on 5/25/25, and I know that I've said this before, and I get made fun of a lot where I talk about lots of grand openings, but that is nothing more than a human being giving themselves another chance without forgetting that they failed. So let's talk about that. 5/25/25 is so important because it took me a lot of work to make sure that this date happened with the right set of circumstances.
Okay.
Now, as you saw with the video that we showed the audience as far as the probability of Jackson Dart being drafted from Ole Miss, do you remember that?
Mhm.
Did you ever post those?
I don't know.
Okay, excellent. I like that you're able to answer questions directly with yes, no, and I don't know. Right?
Yes?
Excellent. And let's take a look at the board again. Ready Player One, super important. The Old Man, just as important. Why? Because the Old Man is in the real world. Ready Player One is in a fantasy world of the future. Dystopic, alternate universe where, an alternate timeline, where humanity has a choice to be a part of a beautiful digital reality, which the audience believes is just as real as the real reality, but the real reality is just gone to shit. People treat each other horribly, they are extremely selfish. Now that is not very different than what we have here. It's okay, I'm not gonna hit it again. What we have here in our real world is very similar to this, because as the generations continue to grow and become more and more addicted to their cell phones, the James Halliday of this world will come forward and create this horrible digital consciousness. Now, digital consciousness should only exist when this beautiful world that we live in is over. Meaning that if you choose to live, you should only live after
Like when
you've
you're
died.
Got it.
That's correct.
Died.
You should never be able to be in a digital consciousness world while you're still alive. Because by giving a child a choice, would you like a fantasy land or would you like reality? Nobody will ever choose reality. So we, on a federal level, cannot give you a fantasy land while reality is so problematic. So I, Daniel M. Reeses, rather than creating a digital reality in the real form, have actually systemically created a roadmap to change our real reality to become an amazing future. So imagine, rather than creating the oasis, I bring the oasis to us. Now, you will not understand this until you give me a chance. Chance and chase are very different. But in the human brain, it's really similar. So right here, JH, which stands for James Halliday, plus, do you remember the name of his partner in the movie Ready Player One?
No.
It's Ogden Morrow.
Okay.
So OM,
OM.
okay? So here, right, Ready Player One equals JH. And Old Man equals OM equals, what's his name?
Dan Chase.
We could just write Dan equals Dan. So for the purposes of this, I would like to point to everyone's attention that 1-800-451, 451 is something that I bought on behalf of the corporation that my mother owned. And my creativity, where I showed the world that, hey, this is video 451. And in order to be able to perfectly calculate and time this, it is virtually impossible unless it actually was done via a series of the last 50 videos that you watched leading up to it. Do you understand?
I do.
Do you find
Very
that to
cool.
be mathematical?
I do.
Thank you. So Jamie, I really appreciate that. That's a genuine smile and that's a genuine... Now this is the reason why I believe that I have a huge conflict with my wife. Is because no matter how many times I say that this is part of my job, she laughs and puts me down in context to anything that has to do with you because she doesn't understand that this is my choice. And I think that you do a very good job at your job. And that's the extent of our relationship. And
I really
because
like my
because we become friends, it has really created fabricated issues where for me, I would rather take the time and show the world exactly what's going on because that is a part of the process. Why? Because it's never been done before. Like Christopher Walken, why?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, JH, OM, Dan, Core 51 equals,
Yes.
and go ahead and do like a line from here to here, mathematical.
Like this.
Yeah, okay. So, do you know anyone with the initials of JH?
I do.
Who?
My whole family.
Oh my God, that's crazy. How about you?
Me.
Excellent. So OM would be the old man, which is Dan, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and say that instead of James Halliday and Ogden Morrow, what I have calculated was JH plus OM equals mathematical and not gregarious games. Because games are for people who don't understand. I thought you might understand it. Now, see, let's quickly shift to our failures because obviously this is
way more interesting to everyone
yeah,
else.
for everyone else. Launch site, failed, did not do it on 5/22, Dan failed. Erase the date, leave Dan, everything else.
Okay.
Now, obviously, anyone that knows anything about the SDLC and software development lifecycle and what it stands for, the reality of the dates that I posted was asinine. I did it in order to get to 5/25/25 and have the pieces of the puzzle in play so that I can immediately start. So I could be Ready Player One. Daniel and Reese's. That's what this is about. Organized Casper, 5:15 Jamie, done. That's not a failure. Put a check mark next to it. Put an X into where I failed. Beta testing, 5:15, that was done. Put a check next to it. Data integration, 5:25, Dan, leave that open.
Yeah.
Not 5:25.
Yeah.
See how that works? In order to do that, you would have to actually have a plan. To film this, you must have been able to calculate exactly all of these elements. Please understand that I'm the same human being that gets shitted on a daily basis, my forehead's oily, by the people that pretend to love me. And that's okay,
Yeah.
because that's what this channel is about. That's what anti-social media is about, is that when you see me, you can make a choice. You don't need to wonder what it is behind me. That is the reason why people hate me and love me. I am extremely self-aware of what I've created. But that doesn't mean that the real Dan Reese doesn't come back in 5/21/5. And the real Dan Reese is a boss. And I can't be who I'm not. I am who I am. Popeye the Sailor Man, right? I'm a boss. That's what I do for a living. That is my job. For anyone who doesn't understand that, they will after 5/25, because I will start acting like a boss. I suffered very serious trauma at the hands of my family. This is not a joke. I was extremely hurt. But there's no sympathy for white men that are both altruistic and dominant. And I realized that the world hates me. And because the world hates me, I thought that I would hide for 5 years. That hiding is over. So the person that everyone really is afraid of will be here on 5/25. I don't have multiple personality disorders. I don't have any delusions. I simply want to be coherent of a change that I'm making in my life. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, you're right. Most people don't talk about it.
Now, let's go launch CCS marketing. That's a fail. Get rid of that. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Launch 3-prong attack. We're going to leave that because we don't want to discuss anything about that. Daily 30-minute meeting, AM and PM. Let's erase that and erase this whole thing because this sucks.
The bottom?
No.
Just
Erase
this one?
all 3. 7 will be replaced with something else.
Okay.
It will be replaced with 1 word.
Okay.
Just friends. Now that's a reference to 2 entertainment elements. Friends.
It is.
If you're a Friends fan, you understand why the word 7 is so good. There's an episode with Monica. And if you're a fan of the movies, there's a movie called Just Friends.
Great.
That is an excellent movie, so just write Just Friends right there, okay?
Yep.
Which actually describes what we are. Co-workers and just friends. Now, a lot of people don't understand that, and that's okay. Tomorrow it doesn't become my problem anymore. 8, cash cow. 30 days, 5/13 to 5/16, Jamie.
6:13.
6/13, that's gonna be left open because it's not 6/13 yet, so it's important for us to leave that open. Fight back, Dan. It's a little complicated, but I would leave that up there. I would put a check mark on there. And I will explain that in a different video because it's so important to document this. Personal, you could delete that and delete that whole thing. There is no more personal. After, you know what, replace it with the kids.
Okay, good idea.
You know?
Yeah.
Because after 5/25, I intend to work 7 days a week until I accomplish my goal, and that is to create the oasis in the real world. The first step is through something called ProSlay, which completely destroys the lexicon and the structure of the modern day legal system, which is at the root of the pain in most people's civilized world. The system that we created that was supposed to be for the people has gone against the people. So please understand that James Halliday is a little peanut brain, nothing coder who is afraid of women. In the real context of Ready Player One, the difference between myself and James Halliday is I am not driven by fear. I would never put Easter eggs that are the semblance of my fear of life. James Halliday created the Oasis because he couldn't function in the real world. That is the complete opposite of what I am. I function very well in the real world, and I want everyone to live in a mental state that is positive, just like mine. I practice what I preach on a daily basis, and I know that I lie, but I am not a liar, and that is a big difference, because when I lie, it is very easy to say, oh, he's a liar, he did this and this. Please understand that for someone like myself, who takes on so much responsibility, it is very easy to throw me off by changing the circumstances of certain situations, or if I have a health matter, and I'm not able to fulfill my obligation. That is nothing more than a failure, which means that I'm a human being. Wow, that went fast.
Yeah, it did.
So what we're going to need to do is obviously wrap this video up, and please understand that tomorrow is a very important day. I have limited
It is.
amount of time, so I plan on filming one more video,
Yeah.
and it is so important that this is documented, because the actual process and structure will be shown through the website of Mathmagical, and that is where it all begins. And you'll see
Love it.
that on the math site, there's something called math site. There's something called an org chart and chain of command and things like that. What everyone's been asking me for, and like, what is this insane, harebrained, crazy bullshit idea? Please understand that in Ready Player One, James Halliday is approximately 55 years old when he creates the Oasis. I am 42 years old, about to be 43, and I believe that I am 12 to 13 years ahead of the schedule. Now, that being
You
said,
do move fast.
that I move fast because I do not have the one thing that I will, which is time. My name is Dan Rhesus, and
Nice.
please remember the most valuable commodity in this world is time. If you have chosen to watch this, I wanted to say thank you. It doesn't matter if you love or hate me. It's absolutely the same identical emotion. No means yes.